I'm so sorry. That just annoyed me. My mom called me, and it stopped the live, and I tried to come back, but it looked like it was frozen, so I just stopped the live. If you were on here before, please come back. I hope you come back. Um, that just blew me. Uh, I'll try to wait a few seconds. And even if I put my mom is on one of my emergency contacts, I believe. And so even if my phone is on do not disturb, she's still able to get through. Her, I think I got her and my husband on there. So yeah. But come back, guys. Come back. I hope she don't try to call me again when I don't call her back. Yeah, so I'm just gonna start and then hey, y'all, I got a phone call. I'm so sorry about that. My mom called me. Um and it interrupted a live. I didn't think to call. I didn't think to text her and say don't call me. I gotta go over there in the morning, and she wanted to see what time I'm coming, and I ended it, but I think it got stuck. But anyway, if you were here before, thank you for coming back. Where was I? I was talking about how almost I really wanted to. Um, how do I? I was talking about when I first experienced domestic violence. So in lieu of October, right? I'm doing well, thank you. Usually, uh, breast cancer awareness gets noticed. It's like at the top, it gets noticed, but domestic violence doesn't get as noticed in October, and it is awareness for both this month. And so, I'm from the DMV, and so I am talking about, this is story time, and I'm giving stories of when I was in a domestic violence situationship or relationship. And I started out talking about my father, which is in my memoir, Cage Girl. The link will be in the bio. I started out, my first domestic violence relationship was with my biological father. And my mother called and interrupted the live. So I had to restart this live. So people on the replay, go back and watch the first part, please, because you will probably be like, what? So that's where I was. So I'm going to finish where I was where I was. So basically where I was saying that for anybody new that's on here that wasn't on here before, I was sharing how my father used to be like any girl, right? My favorite person in the world when I was little. He used to be the apple of my eye. Like he was my favorite person. Like I if a child had a favorite parent, that was me. My father was my favorite parent when I was a child. When I was little. And then the switch flipped around about 8 or 9 years old, and he came from, he started out being my favorite person in the world to my worst enemy. And I was saying how that happened, and as I don't know why. Well, no, let me not say I don't know why, because later on in life, my mom would share with me that he told her that the things that he called me, you know what I'm saying, which is, thank you very much. Um, this live is about me sharing my domestic violence situations that happen and relationships that happen in lieu of it being that Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I am a survivor. I am no longer a victim, but I'm sharing my stories because if you follow me on here, I do story time. I have a whole playlist of my stories. So that is what we are doing. And you're blocked. Yeah. So So yeah, so back to what I was saying. It was a story where I was saying I was in the kitchen one time washing dishes, and I was washing this like turkey, the big knife you carve the turkey with, and I was washing it outside of the water, and I was saying how it's like my father knew that the enemy had whispered in my ear and said, "Turn around and stab your father," and it's almost like he knew, because I was like, when I was watching it, I was like this, right? And he egged it on when he turned it around. And when he turned around and he was like, "I wish you would stab me. I wish you would. You ain't got the guts to do that," stuff like that. But I'm telling you, God was with that man. And God was with me at that time, because I'm telling you, I was getting ready to be arrested. I was going to juvie for killing my father. Because that's how much I had grew to hate him at that time. Oh, I think I remember where I left off at. I left off at one time, I was struggling real bad in math, and I just could not. It just wasn't my thing. Spelling, because remember in elementary school you did, well, we did spelling. I don't know what they do now, but we did spelling, reading, and writing. Those were my top things. English, writing, reading, spelling. I was very, very good. Right. Those were obviously, I mean, but math, it was not my friend. And I remember I was in middle school and I came home. I think it was a progress report, and I had like a D or something like that in math, and both my parents was yelling at me. Like, one started, my mother started, then he came up, and then that made it worse, because a man's to a young lady, a man's voice is is just intimidated anyway by just the sound. You know what I'm saying? And him yelling at me just made everything worse. And I remember crying. I was crying, y'all, because I couldn't understand why I couldn't understand either. Now remember, I told y'all his favorite two words was to call me fat and stupid, and that didn't help that I couldn't understand the math. That didn't help. You know what I'm saying? So by him keep calling me stupid, and I'm saying like I can't, and then I can't get this math. So guess what Satan is doing now? He's telling me, "Yeah, your father right. You stupid. You stupid. You stupid." So he's yelling at me. Say what? Anyway, he was what? He was yelling at me. Sigma or stigma? What are you saying? He was yelling at me, and I was crying. I had fell to my knees. And you know what he said to me? He said, "Why?" I have an older sister, right? I have two older sisters, but this particular sister he was talking about was my sister from my mom. He said, which is his stepdaughter. He said, "Why you can't be like your sister? Why you can't get good grades like your sister?" He said, "You're so stupid." Because my sister went straight A's when she was in school. And I was like, if if anything worse could happen, you know what I'm saying? If feeling like a failure and stupid and dumb was in a dictionary, my face at that time would have been by it. Like, I was just like, how you going, how you gonna compare me to a whole nother? She ain't even, first of all, she ain't even your child biologically. Let's get that straight. Okay, and then you're gonna compare me, like, so I'm already feeling bad myself that I don't understand it. I don't know why I understand it, but I couldn't get math. I couldn't get it. Absolutely, they're still loving him. He's gone and passed away. He is passed away. I mend my relationship with him through prayer, because he started to begin. Okay, so after he passed away, which I was 22 years old when he passed away. My mom began to reveal to me things that I didn't know. So when he was younger, his mom called him stupid all the time. See what I'm saying? So you see how it became learned behavior. So because, and it's not condoning what he did, because remember, we people, we're responsible for our own actions, right? But it helped me to understand, because what y'all don't understand is me growing up with him yelling at me like that. I used to really think that my father wished he had a boy instead of a girl. Like, I would literally think this all the time. I thought that he literally hated the fact that he had me as a daughter. He wished he had a son. The way he used to yell and scream at me. But my mother, like I said, she would later reveal to me that that was done to him. And who knows, it could have been done to my grandmother. You see what I'm saying? So it was a generational curse and learned behavior. So yeah. So I love him. I love him, and then I also was able to understand, so that not just love him, but that helped me to forgive, because you have to forgive. If you would, first of all, the Bible says you God wants you to forgive. You need to forgive. You can't make it into the kingdom of heaven if you don't forgive. That's first and foremost. But God knows God needs you to forgive even while you're on this earth, because unforgiveness brews bitterness. It brews like all this animosity. And so what begins to happen is when you walk around in unforgiveness with, even if it's just with one person, that would do what? It stems over to all your relationships thereafter. So then that's why you have what people may call this thing called daddy issues, right? But in my case, if I didn't forgive him, that would have been my situation. I would have had daddy issues. And actually, I before I forgave, before I understood, I did. See, because him and the situation that I had, the domestic violence which I had with my father, because let's be clear, just so people will understand, domestic violence is not just physical. Okay? It's not just a punch in the eye. It's not just a kick in the throat, a broken arm, or whatever. Domestic violence is physical, mental, verbal, and emotional. All four of those are considered domestic violence, right? So in my case, it was verbal, emotional, and mental, right? Because it was verbal for what he was saying. It was emotional because of how he made me feel about myself. And then it was mental because by him calling me stupid in certain situations, I began to believe the lie. Okay? So, yes, it can be spiritual too. Yes, it can be. Absolutely. So, so going back to what I was saying, um yeah, when he called me, when he when he tried to compare me to my sister, like I was just like, I couldn't take it no more. But what could I do? First of all, I'm still a young adult. I'm still a minor. I'm in high school, middle school at this point, right? It's nothing I can do. Um, when he called me stupid, which was the main thing that he would always call me, if my mother was around, it was only when she was around that my mom would say, don't call my child stupid. I will say my mother did take up for me when she heard him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like I said, if we was around, she was around, and it came out of his mouth, she would correct him. But guess when he would do it? Right. When she wasn't around. He did it more when she wasn't around. So he learned that trick, real quick. But like I said, again, I would later on, way later on in life, way after he passed away, understand and learn why he did what he did. I used to think that he didn't love me. And I also had the enemy telling me that he didn't love me too. He would be like, your father don't love you. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no father love don't no father love a child that he calls stupid or whatever, and call names and stuff all the time. He don't really love you. And that was a lie. My father did love me. He just didn't know how to love me. Why? Because he wasn't loved properly. You see what I'm saying? It was a generational curse, right? But I am here today to say that I have gone through my deliverance and my healing, and that generational curse is broken, because it will not pass down to my children. I will not. I refuse. I will never treat them that way. I'm not doing that. But yeah, so that was my first. That was the beginning. That was the foundation. Of me accepting being in these domestic violent relationships. I would later meet narcissistic men. and how they would lure me in would they would always be nice in the beginning, right? They give you the compliments, right, in the beginning. They give you the I would never treat you like, you know, how so and so used to treat. That's how they all. I don't care what who. It's a spirit, okay. First of all, so the spirit is like that with a man, and the spirit is like that with a woman too. Okay, it's a spirit because how I know this is because when I see other people give their stories, it's like almost listening to their person that they dealt with is almost the same exact person. I be wanting to say, did you date such and such too? Like it's the same because it's the same characteristics. They do this. They get you emotionally connected, right? It's an emotional soul tie. Thank you for the flowers. Hey Whitney, happy birthday. Yes, yes, absolute wolves in sheep clothing. That's exactly how they start. That's a perfect example. Custom King. They start off as wolves in sheep clothing. Perfect example. And so, yeah, they lure you in. That just like thank you for that because that remind me of that. Oh, what's that story? The kid story. With a wolf. Was it Little Red Riding Hood? Lord Red Riding Hood in with the nice words or whatever, you know, it was nice and calm and whatever nice to you. That's exactly what they do. And so remember, I'm not getting this at home with my dad. I never got that, right? Prior to him passing, I can count, which wouldn't even make it to my pinky. I can count how many times my dad said I love you. And to be honest with you, I don't remember past when I told you when I was a little girl when he would always when I was crazy about him and he was crazy about him until that night before he passed or that 2 nights before he passed from away after 9/11. I don't even remember. I couldn't even count how many times my dad said he loved me. So now as I'm getting an adult now, I'm looking for love. What they say, looking for love in all the wrong places. That's so true, right? So now I'm looking for love to be fulfilled or the void to be filled from my dad, because I'm working around with daddy issues, right? Trying to be loved to feel love. So anybody that compliments me, and he's attractive, like he had to be attractive, right? Cause you know, I mean, let's just be honest, right? Like you will receive it from somebody that you're not attracted to, but you really, really receive it from somebody that you're attracted to, right? So, that's how they lure me in. But then that like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, eventually that switch will flip. And y'all, I know I don't look it, but I am 45 years old. This narcissistic me me being in narcissistic type of relationships happened all the way to before I met my husband now. So I was 40 was the last one, right? So I dealt with this spirit all those years, right? It's almost like they like a wolf. It's almost like they could smell me coming. It's almost like they knew that I had a very loving, nurturing nature about me, which I do. And this is stuff that God gave me. So if you have something like this about you, I don't ever want you to feel that that's wrong to be that way. Because that's a gift that God gave you. He gave me a gift to love people, which is what we're supposed to do, right? And so, but it was like it's like it's almost like I had like I used to, on my videos. If you've been following me, I'll say this in my video a few times where at after a while it seemed like I had molest me on my forehead. After a while, when I was an adult, it felt like I had manipulate her on my forehead. Like I just kept attracting them. They just kept coming. And so, and so, yeah. And so I would get in these relationships with these guys, and they would start off with so sweet and so kind. And then the flip would switch roundabout. I say, one in particular I'm thinking about, it took him actually a little longer, or longer than I thought. he started flipping out around about month 3, 4. You know what I mean? He wasn't he lasted a little longer than most. Most start tripping around about second month, but he took a while. And I don't know if it was because we lived in different states, but nonetheless, um and then also how they would get me too is with my money, because I'm such this nurturer, right? This nice person, whatever, and want you to be good. Um, they'll start off with this sob story, right, of why they needed the money. And again, that's another way to lure you in, right, to your emotions, to get you like feeling bad for them. So he would always tell me something that was going on with him, right? Now, let me say this because I've experienced this, and I could write a book on it, right? A book on just the narcissist part. When they give you a sob story over and over and over again, or like the beginning, every time they need money is something wrong or something happened to them, or every time, that person is a narcissist and they are using and manipulating you. And manipulation is a form of witchcraft. If you don't know, I am here to tell you it is. Right. Exactly. So yeah, so that when you do that, when you um sorry, I almost lost my train of thought. When you allow them to tell you these stories over and over again, right? He would, and y'all, I'll tell you, it would be the most outlandish stories. But in the beginning, like the first time he told me, I was like, oh man, oh, I feel so bad for you. Are you? This was a situation where he was hungry and he didn't have any money to get anything to eat, and so I was like, I'm so sorry that happened to you. You need something, So and then they'll give you this too, right? Because they don't want to. I'm laughing now because it's funny. It's funny now, right? But it's not funny then at all. It's funny now, but it's not funny at all then. Um, uh, they'll ask you that, right? They'll give you this story of why don't have the money to get the food or whatever. And this particular person, man, I'm laughing because I'm thinking back. He got me good. He was on this he doesn't want to work for the white man type. This was that person, okay? This was the super woke person, but he was a okay, I don't know how YouTube does this. I don't know if this is a good word. It's okay word to say, but he was a let's say this. He was a street pharmacist, okay? Put your thinking cap on, okay? He was a street pharmacist. Supposedly, right? But why didn't it dawn on me? Typically, okay, street pharmacists have money, right? They got money. Money enough to travel where they want to go, give you money if you need it, right? How you a broke street pharmacist? How did this not resonate with me in the beginning? No clue, right? So, like I said, he would give me this story in the beginning. Like, the first time it was this, I can't remember what it was, but nonetheless, he didn't have any money to get food. And so I ordered him a pizza to his house. And like you said, that was the beginning. That was the start of it. That's all he needed to do was just one time. And then the next time would be like, I don't know, maybe close to a week later when he gave me another story. I didn't know if I could say it or not, cause YouTube be YouTubing. I'm new to this, so I don't some words and stuff I don't know what they say, cause it would be easier just to say that, but I didn't know if I could say that. So I be laughing at people. I be laughing at some of these trolls. Don't get me wrong, I do. I really do. Um, Yeah. So that would be the beginning. So maybe like close to a week later, he gave me another sob story, and then another one, and then another one, and then finally, y'all, it took a minute, because I supposedly fell in love with him. Um, it was in lust with him, but it took a minute. It took maybe like a couple of months, and then I realized I was like, yeah, this ain't working out. So I remember going out to eat with somebody, and he called, and he called and gave me another story, and it would be so long, the story, y'all. I used to be at a certain point, I wanted to say, can you just get to the part where you're gonna ask me for some money, right? But I let him talk and talk and talk and talk. And this time I said, this, I kid you not, I will not kid you. I remember this like it was yesterday. He was like, he said all this stuff and whatever. And I'm supposed to be out to eat, but we was driving on our way to the place. And I said, you finished? And he was like, yeah, I'm done or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, well, I hope that works out for you. Y'all, it was the pause in the phone for me, right? It was the pause in the phone was like, did she just really say that to me? And did. And then he was like, then he finally said something. He was like, oh, I. And I was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Call me back when that workout, whatever. Hug up the phone. After that, shortly after that, oh, he tried it. He called himself trying to break up with me. And listen, I was in my flesh, I was in the world. At that time I was backsliding. So I cussed him out from here to Kathmandu. And he tried to call me back when he felt bad or whatever. And I ain't answered that phone. I put him on block. But that was it. But unfortunately, he wasn't the last. You know what I mean? I dated some more. I dated more and more and more until finally I went through deliverance. God had me do a deliverance from soul ties, right here in my house, right here in this house, right here by myself. Just before I had met my ex-husband. I'm sorry, I met my husband, but I wasn't dating him yet because I was trying to get rid of a narcissist before him. And God was like, you gotta fast and you gotta break the soul tie. And for the whole weekend, I didn't eat anything, and I fasted, broke the soul tie. And then I was able to tell my husband, because he had already confessed his love for me and everything, but I was still hooked on this last person. And then a few days later, I told him, I said, okay, now I'm ready to be your girlfriend. Less than a year later, we were married. But yeah, so I'll come on again, because this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. What I'll do is I'll share another story, because I have stories galore with my ex-husband. Ooh, Lord. That's a book in itself. As a matter of fact, it'll be Cage. This is Cage Girl, right? Which is released now. The ebook and the paperback link is in my bio. But next year I'll be releasing Cage Girl 2, and that one will have what I went through, the domestic violence I went through with my ex-husband. That'll be in that one. But if the Lord allows me to share it with you all now, I will. And I'm going to leave I'm going to leave it up for the replay. If you'd like to come back and watch the whole thing again, and for the people who will come and watch it later on, I will be leaving these up. And so, yeah, that's my story. And I will. Yep, I'm definitely going to save them. When a guy has too many stories, he wants to put you to sleep. I don't know about that, but yeah. I know when he has too many stories, he wants some money. He wants some money, for sure. But I have a bunch more, and so like I said, and Lord, this being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I'm going to share with you. And if you are someone that come on here, or even if you are on this replay, or if you watch the replay, and if you are someone that's going through that right now currently, if you are experiencing the signs that I have given in my story, some of the signs I'm giving, please, please, I beg you, run. And I mean run like Forrest. You are better than that. You are beautiful. You are loved, male or female. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved. And God does not want you to sit in these relationships and be controlled, manipulated, like that. And you don't have to run like Forrest. Get out of these relationships. Um, you're much better than that, and you're loved. And I love you. But like I always say, I love you, but know that God loves you more. If you have, oh, I am so glad you said that. Outlaw, boom. So the whole book isn't going to be just on him. I said he will be in that book, okay? The book will be the continuation of my life. This book is from 6 years old to 18 years old. That book will be 18 years to whenever God tell me to stop. So I'm not sure if he want me to stop in my 30s or 40s because all of this stuff happened during that time. So the book won't be just about him, but there will be a great deal in there about him. But let me tell you why I'm glad you said that. I am a person where I don't bash the other party in totality. I always reveal my part in the situation. Like I was telling y'all earlier with the other guy, how they was able to lure me in was because I had daddy issues. I'm looking for people to love me or fill that void. Nobody can love you. Nobody can love you and fill a void except for Jesus Christ himself, God the Father. Now with my ex-husband, this is where I come in. My fault that I play, and I always tell people my fault. I ignored the red flags. Okay? I ignored the red flags. I knew this man. I met this man in 2001. I didn't marry him until 2009. Like I'm saying, the book will explain all of that through those years, right? I saw the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde shortly after I first met him. You understand what I'm saying? I saw it again in the engagement process before we got married. God was showing me who this person was. I ignored God. Okay? They were doing their manipulative part. They were a narcissist, had the spirit of witchcraft, had the spirit of Jezebel, all of that because of the stuff that they went through, right? They were doing their part. But I didn't listen to God. I still married him. You understand what I'm saying? So I always tell my story. Okay? I always tell my part. That was my fault. On my wedding day. On my wedding day, I'm asking God if I should still marry this man. Why you asking somebody if you still should marry them on your wedding day? You should have known this on the engagement day. You know what I'm saying? Long time ago. Why you asking? I didn't realize until later on that God was telling me I could leave out this back door of this church. And who not gonna pick me up in a whole entire wedding dress and take me where I need to go? Who not gonna pick me up? But I guess what I did, I walked down that aisle anyway. And God was like, oh, you ain't gonna listen? I'll show you how that's gonna work out. And I went through absolute hell on earth. But again, that's the story for another time. So yeah, so I always explain thank you. I always explain my part in it. You have to do that. It's no point in bashing somebody without, you know what I'm saying, revealing your truth and what you did or you didn't do in this situation. I always say too, there's always in every story, every situation is your truth, it's yours, mine, and then there's the truth. You understand what I'm saying? So now this person, he doesn't frequent social media. He's never really liked social media like that unless he was trying to sell something. So, but I know people watch me that know him. I know that. And I'm pretty sure people will probably go back and tell him what I said. And I'm pretty sure that I don't care. Okay? Because I wouldn't be on here talking about it if it wasn't true. It's my truth, right? Now, his may be a little bit different. Okay, but I'm not here to convince nobody. I'm just telling you what happened to me. And this is also to help people who have been in this situation or maybe currently in this situation to know that you can get out of this. You deserve better. You don't have to sit in narcissistic relationships. Because another thing that my ex-husband used to do, he would run and tell people lies because he would make people believe that he was this innocent person in our situation and made me look out to be the villain. And the people would believe him without even coming to me and giving me a chance to explain myself. Ain't that something? But again, that's a story for another time. So I would love, if you are not already a subscriber, please subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a lot more stories out here. I got a lot more things to tell. And I'm a person, I love a good story. I love to sit there with my little popcorn or my little drink and just listen to somebody talk. That's just how I am. And again, my brand, the Lord gave me, is called Receive and Relate, because He whispered that in my ear when I was with my ex-husband. Ironically, when I was married to my ex-husband, the Lord dropped in my ear one day, standing in the kitchen. He said, "People receive when they can relate." I had no clue what He was talking about. No earthly clue. I was like, what? I even shared it with my ex-husband, and he took it as the master manipulator that he used to be, and ran with it and tried to use it for his business stuff, which didn't work, of course, because God didn't give it to him, and he wasn't doing right by his wife. But nonetheless, of years later in 2021, God whispered it back in my ear again, and this time He explained to me. He said, "I want you to begin to tell your stories." My podcast began actually on my phone. It actually began on my phone in 2021, January 2021. I started telling my stories. It would be when I retired from my job last November 2023, when God told me, "Okay, I want you to begin to share them now on YouTube." And I just got started YouTube. He said start a YouTube, but I didn't realize that it would be the podcast on YouTube until just like a week or so ago. He said, "Yes, I want you to start sharing your stories because people receive when they can relate." So if you can relate to this and you can relate to my other stories, come on back. You know what I'm saying? Because who's out here voluntarily trying to tell their business? Not me. Not me. Thank you, Outlaw, for subscribing. I'm listening. This is not something I wanted to voluntarily do, but the Lord told me to. Because people need to know that they're out there and they're not alone. That there's somebody else that has gone through it. But a lot of people don't want to talk up about it. So the Lord made me, He made me a voice for the voiceless. So come back, okay? I think my husband works at night, right? So I think tomorrow he's off on Saturday night, so I can't give y'all Saturday nights. That's our time, except for when he goes to see my stepdaughter. He sees her every other week. But on the Saturdays that he is here, which is this Saturday, I can't do this Saturday. But I think I may come back on tomorrow night. So if you're free tomorrow around the same time, 7:30. So if you're free tomorrow night, come on back, and I'll share another domestic violence story. I got one in mind, as a matter of fact, with another boyfriend. And again, subscribe and turn your notifications on, because I'm trying to be consistent. Y'all hold me to it. I'm trying to be consistent with dropping a story, if not every day, at least every other day. Okay? Because I got a lot. You see how thick this book is? Okay? And some of the stories are not all in this book. So that's why you got to subscribe, because you never know where I'm going to come with. You never know what I'm going to come with. Okay? I really appreciated talking to y'all tonight. And I'm glad you're surprised. God bless you too, John. Because the wedding made it feel real. Right. I'm sorry, I just saw your message, Outlaw. And thank you all for subscribing. Thank you for coming on. And I will see you next time. Oh, wait, before I close out, I didn't ask anybody that had any questions. Anybody, thank you. Anybody have any, if you experience some type of narcissism, wow, hey, Norway, I'm in the United States. If you can relate, drop the comment, say you can relate. If you have any questions, if you want to know where to get the book is on Amazon. And also the link is in my bio. It's an easier way. If you click out and just go in my bio, it's right there in my Stan Store. Or if you go to Amazon itself, when you type in Tara L. Walker Cage Girl, just put books, put the category books, and then it'll pop up. Because for whatever reason, I'm not sure yet, but I don't know if it's just because I'm a new author or whatever, but when you just put my name in the book doesn't come up. But if you put books in the category, it'll pop up. Hi, DeMargo. You can get to know me on here. I'm good and married though, so my husband knows me best. But you can get to know me on here. Just subscribe and come on back, because I'm gonna be sharing some stories and stuff that you might be interested in. So just come on back. If nobody else has any questions, that's it for me. I'm signing out. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you for the comments. Thank y'all for interacting. And I think I'll see y'all tomorrow. Just turn your notifications on. I typically post on the community whether I'm coming on or not. Thank you. He is blessed. Thank you so much. That he is. All right. So I'm signing off now. I love you, but know that God loves you more. See you next time. Bye.